Alexander Isak's future has become the biggest talking point of the transfer window, and the saga feels like it's heading toward a dramatic conclusion sooner rather than later. The Newcastle striker has been training away from his teammates, isolated from the main group in a clear attempt to force through his dream move to Liverpool. For weeks, speculation has swirled, and now with the season underway, tensions between player and club have reached boiling point. Eddie Howe himself admitted recently that the situation would be resolved pretty quickly, and when a manager speaks in those terms, it's usually because he knows something decisive is about to happen. Liverpool are circling Newcastle, are digging in, and Isak has made his stance perfectly clear. He wants Anfield. The story is gripping not only because of the money involved, but because of how far Isak has come since arriving on Tyneside. When Howe convinced Newcastle to break their transfer record to sign him back in 2022, he predicted the young Swede would thrive in the Premier League. He spoke about his pace, his technique, and that little bit of X factor that makes great strikers stand apart. Few can argue with Howe's assessment now. 62 goals in just over 100 games, a Carabao Cup final winner, and a Champions League return for Newcastle, Isak has delivered on every front. Yet in football, success sometimes drives ambition elsewhere, and what once looked like a fairy tale. Marriage has quickly become a messy divorce. Isak's recent statement, accusing Newcastle of broken promises, was the spark that turned quiet whispers into an explosive saga. Fans who adored him were left stunned, and the club's leadership responded with defiance, insisting there was no world in which their star forward would be sold. But Liverpool's presence has changed everything. They are champions of England, they are operating at the very peak of world football. And when a player has the chance to join such a project, holding him back becomes an almost impossible task. Eddie Howe's press conference before Newcastle's clash with Liverpool was telling. He spoke with warmth about Isak, about his professionalism, about what he has meant to the club, but there was an underlying acceptance in his words. It sounded less like a plea for reconciliation and more like a manager preparing his fan base for an ending he cannot control. "We love Alex for what he has done," Howe said, "but it looks like it is coming to an end, and pretty quickly. Managers don't talk like that unless the writing is already on the wall." Meanwhile, Liverpool have been patient but deliberate. Their opening bid of £110 million was rejected outright, with Newcastle demanding at least £150 million. For now, Liverpool have not yet returned with a fresh offer. But few inside the game believe this story ends without another push from Anfield. The player's refusal to reintegrate into training is proof of how desperate he is to make the move happen. And history tells us that once a footballer crosses that line, reconciliation is almost impossible. The twist in this saga came with the comments of former Premier League striker Troy Deeney, who believes Isak has handled his exit strategy poorly. Deeney, speaking from experience, claimed that the Swede has made himself look like the villain when he could have played things smarter. He revealed how he once forced through his own transfer by deliberately disrupting training behind closed doors, creating the impression of an injury rather than openly rebelling. In Deeney's view, Isak's approach has been clumsy, his agent lazy, and the result is a public war that has damaged his reputation. "He's making himself look like a troublemaker," Deeney said, when really, this is a career-defining move to one of the biggest clubs in world football. It's a fascinating perspective. On one hand, Isak's honesty has made it crystal clear where he stands. On the other, he risks being painted as disloyal by a fan base that once worshipped him. But, as Deeney pointed out, sometimes you have to burn bridges to get where you need to be, and the lure of Liverpool is too strong to resist. Playing alongside Mohamed Salah, Florian Wirtz, and Darwin Núñez, competing for Premier League titles and Champions League glory. This is the stage Isak craves as Monday night approaches. When Newcastle host Liverpool at St. James Park, the atmosphere will be electric. The irony is hard to ignore. The striker, who once scored the decisive goal against Liverpool in a cup final, now looks set to line up for them in the near future. Whether he is in the stands, on the bench, or completely absent, all eyes will be on Isak. Newcastle supporters will chant, Liverpool fans will speculate, and somewhere behind the scenes, negotiations will continue. The saga is moving fast, and Eddie Howe's comments suggest we are nearing the final act. The only real question now is whether Liverpool are willing to go high enough to break Newcastle's resolve. For the Reds, it could mean securing the perfect striker to lead their new era under Arne Slot. For Newcastle, it would mean losing their talisman but pocketing a record-breaking fee that could reshape their squad. And for Isak, it could finally mean stepping onto the Anfield pitch not as an opponent, but as the newest superstar in Red Dot. Until then, the tension grows by the day. Will Liverpool match Newcastle's asking price? Will the Magpies relent under pressure from a player who has vowed never to play for them again? Or will this drag on to the deadline with twists no one sees coming? What's certain is that Alexander Isak's story has captivated the football world, and the ending, whether triumphant or tragic, is coming very, very soon.